Something special.
Hi friends, welcome back or welcome to Friends in High Places podcast. Today I got Lacey back on the pod.
What's up, guys?
And we're just gonna chill and chat a bit and
Hang out.
Yeah, exactly. Hang out.
Yeah.
So today has been a pretty weird day.
Mm-hmm.
We woke up to some pretty crazy news. The whole world did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that is that DMX passed away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rest in peace, DMX. It's really
Yes.
sad to hear. I actually found out from the news app on my phone, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I couldn't believe it. And then I called you, and
Yeah.
So rest in peace, and sending all of our love to his family and his friends and everyone grieving his death, because he definitely, had a huge impact on on society and on our culture. And yeah, it's really sad news to wake up to, for sure.
It is really sad, and Cole was keeping a pretty close eye on the entire situation, like a lot of people in the world were.
Yeah.
And just really sad that they had to make the hard decision that they did. And, now he's free and out of pain and suffering, which is good, but very unfortunate that had to lose him from the earth.
Definitely
for
such
that
an
to
icon,
happen.
and yeah, very, very sad, very tragic, and yeah.
Yeah, so yes, rest in peace, DMX, and we are sending all of our prayers and love and condolences out to your family and friends and support system and all the fans out there, because it hurts us almost just as much.
Yeah.
Because, artists build like a fandom who become like family.
Definitely. I feel like artists build very intimate connections with their fans, because, they are telling their story, and sometimes it relates or resonates so deeply with you, or you feel like, I feel like even with podcasts sometimes, like you feel like you're in the conversation, or you feel like you're a part of their lives. And
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
sure.
It's hard.
But yeah, so that was some crazy news and weird way to start off the day. Plus, over here in Canada, we're kind of getting back into lockdown, which is hard as well. A lot of people, we've all been going through it the past year and it's just not easy. It's pretty crazy time in life, and something we're all never going to forget. And we're living through history right now in a lot of different ways, not only COVID and the pandemic, but there's also been like a lot of death in my personal life, and I know a lot of people's lives, plus a lot of artists and celebrities have passed away. It's just really crazy because not all of it's from COVID, and that's kind of what we've been focused on so much in the last year. It's like all of a sudden 2021 hit, and we're still going through this pandemic, but we're also losing people not from the virus. And I don't know, the universe is just like sending us through this crazy
whirlwind.
And like life lesson, I feel. And
absolutely.
Change of energy, change of perspective, and I think opening up all of our eyes to taking life for granted, taking people for granted, taking things for granted, and kind of making us have a a wake-up call with what truly matters in life and what we need to prioritize in life
and focus our energy on. And yeah, absolutely.
Death, relationships, friendships, family, like all relationships and stuff are being put to the test in so many different ways.
Yeah, of course. And now another lockdown too. I know with a lot of people, the lockdown and just being in each other's space nonstop, it's been really tough and really hard. And I mean, even in the opposite spectrum of things, like not being able to, visit your loved ones and have that whole situation, like that's like just as hard. So
through all these times.
Yeah, it's not really, it's not really a fun time right now, but,
No.
we're making the best of it. And
yeah, exactly.
like you said, using it as a time of growth and as a time of like reflection and, you know, a time to realize that, oh, well, maybe these certain things are happening to make room for another change or something better. Yeah. Or maybe not even something better necessarily, something different and more like suited for what's gonna make you the most happy or whatever.
It's just so crazy. And just lockdowns make a lot of other things difficult, mental health and distance and just so much. So it's just nuts. And, you know, we still have to just all stick together and be there for the ones we love and care about and for each other, and check up on your friends, check up on your family, all your loved ones, you know, make sure everyone's doing okay during this, third, fourth wave we're on? I don't even know.
Yeah, I think this is the third wave. I know I was just reading an article that Ontario's shutting their schools down, I think this upcoming week, if they haven't already. So, you know, kids are really going to feel it again. I mean, I know they've already been feeling it, but I think school will definitely provide some sort of normalcy.
Parents will be feeling it again because they're becoming homeschoolers and teachers again, along with their full-time jobs and other life responsibilities. And it's just nuts. But other things that have been happening, I think also because of the pandemic in a sense, is like what's been going on in Calgary, and Alberta in general, and BC, what I've been hearing about, and you and I talked about it a little bit on the phone earlier, about these women being targeted. Women of all ages being targeted by men and other females, and they are following them. They are stalking
them so close that like onlookers are thinking that they're walking together.
And targeting them. Like there's been women who have been assaulted. There are women who have almost been assaulted, but luckily got away. And it's just really crazy. And I was talking about it with my mom and sister because this is happening in pure daylight. And I'm just like, first of all these situations and cases are all so similar. And like everything almost to a T is similar.
It's all a plan. It's all set up. There's definitely an agenda, and you know they're out to get. They're definitely targeting women.
And it's like all of a sudden, because we all wear masks out in public, I feel like that's a big reason how these people are like getting away with it and are so brave to do it in the daytime.
Because you can't really recognize them.
No, like their identity is covered up in
even
a
the
sense.
People who have been videotaped. Like I know there was one for sure, maybe a couple more. I'm not too sure, but I know one was recognized. But like all of the others, and there's been so many videos popping up that people, you know, can't recognize them. I heard about this one where this girl, I don't know if she was leaving a group of friends or whatever, but she was driving home and she noticed this vehicle following her, and anyway, she went up to this stoplight, and all of a sudden these men just start rushing her vehicle and start opening the handles and trying to open her door. But luckily she manually like hit the lock because her car doesn't automatically do it. I know some cars, like you get in, as soon as you put it in drive or whatever, they lock. Hers didn't. So it's crazy. Her like instinct just to lock it is,
and that's just being
the thing that saved her life.
That's that's a female way of thinking. Even just like second nature things like that, like locking our doors, keys in our hands, walking in the middle of the street, like all that. And thank God she had that like instilled in her and thought about it, because she was coming from, I think it was a small get together her and her friends were having, and she said that they were all driving in a convoy and everyone turned off on their own ways. And then all of a sudden she noticed this vehicle behind her for quite a far ways, like as she kept driving. And again, another instinct, males and females, I think, both have sometimes when driving and you have a vehicle that's just going the exact same way as you. It's kind of like, this is weird.
Exactly.
Is this person
I feel like your
following
spidey
me?
senses start tingling, like, something's
Exactly.
up.
Exactly. But also being
Yeah.
a female alone,
Yeah.
you definitely get those thoughts
It's just ingrained
quick.
in you.
Yeah. And yeah, she pulled up to a red light and they pulled up beside her
Oh, it was beside
and
her.
got
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh.
and
Like,
started pulling at all her door handles.
I can't even imagine how terrifying that must have been. Like, it's so scary. And the thing is that I was driving from Calgary to Red Deer. This was when I was going to school in Calgary, and I was on my way home. And this was pretty late at night. It was like a Friday night at like 10 o'clock. Like, I was working and was just driving up for the evening.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, there's this car and two guys on bikes, and they're, you know, like looking at me and like waving and like just kind of being, you know, catcalling. I was like, okay, like try and avoid them or whatever.
Just ignore them.
Yeah,
Try
exactly.
to, as much as you can. It's so awkward.
And then they started like slowing right down in front of me when I was driving in the slow lane. So then I'd like go in the fast lane past them. And then they'd start racing up, so then I couldn't actually pass them. And it was crazy. I was honestly going like way faster than I should have been, but I was scared.
Well,
and
for
then
sure.
This happened probably like more than half of my drive home. It was so scary. I didn't know what to do. I was by myself.
So fucked
like,
up. So fucked
it was
up.
such dangerous driving, and I was so nervous to even like call anyone because I didn't want to hit the guys on the bikes. Like, they would come in front of me and like slam on the brakes, and you know, it could have been like a prank for those guys, and like, oh yeah, let's like fuck with this girl. And it was fucking terrifying for me. Like, it was so scary. And I think like a lot of boys and like people don't realize that it might just be like a prank to you, but like you're actually traumatizing someone else here.
100%.
And like even these people following, like, even if, you know, they're not out to kidnap, and they're, you know, there are kind of sick people who are just doing it because it's you know, it's happening, so I'm just gonna mess with these people. Like, that's so fucked up, and like it's scary. And no wonder women have to feel on guard all the time, is because like this happens even when it's like a prank, or even when it's not serious. It's serious to us, and it's scary, and
it's triggering.
It's super triggering.
Thankfully, that girl's first instinct was to run that red light, because I personally put myself in her shoes, and I honestly feel like I would go into shock. I feel like I would freeze and be like, is this actually happening to me right now? Are people trying to get into my vehicle? Hopefully then I'd react and press on the gas and fucking go like she did. But like, a lot of people go into a frozen state. And things like that.
You're in shock.
You don't know what people have been through. So they could have been through something else traumatizing in their life. And it brings them back to that feeling, and that makes them even more frozen and more shocked. Like,
so scary. And not only that, the fact that she had to run a red light. Like, thank God there wasn't another vehicle coming across, because like that could have ended so like. It was just such a terrible situation that poor girl went through. Like, oh, it's so messed up and so scary. So make sure you are, you know, all of the ladies out there, and just people in general, like, take the extra precautions. And like, even if it might feel silly to you, or like, you know, oh, I shouldn't have to do this, like, still do it, because like we said, we feel like there's people kind of taking advantage of like the mask situation. And
100%.
There's definitely people being kind of like predatory out there.
My sister, a girl she works with at her hair salon, her friend went through a situation at Chinook Mall. I screenshot, because she shared this girl's story on her Instagram story. So I messaged her and said, hey, do you mind?
For those of you who don't know, Chinook Mall is a mall in Calgary. It's like one of the main malls there.
And I just asked her if she didn't mind if I shared this story on the podcast to kind of bring more awareness and get more stories out there too, because that's another thing, is the city of Calgary's police aren't handling this very like at haste. Like, they aren't like,
it doesn't seem like much of a priority. And honestly, the only reason that I'm hearing about this is through people's TikToks and Instagram stories and like just and their own personal like accounts.
Yes, and the Calgary police said, "Can you stop posting your stories on social media?"
Like that's crazy
fucked
to
up.
Me. That's
like
so
that's
crazy
so
to
fucked
me.
up. That's like literally victim shaming right there, and like pretty much like it's so fucked up. Mm-hmm. So her story was, my friend was at Chinook Mall today when she was followed into Zara by a man who grabbed her by the arm and was harassing her, telling her to take her mask down to show him her face. It would not stop even when others tried to intervene. Security and the police were called. He then told her he would see her later. When she was escorted to her car by security, 4 men were outside waiting near where she was parked. Ladies, please be safe. If you feel unsafe, call 911 or ask to be walked to your car. You cannot be too careful. Be aware 24/7 and stay safe.
Oh my god.
At the mall.
At the
mall. In pure daylight.
And had she not brought the security out? Like
exactly. Like she reacted appropriately and made sure she had a safe way to get to her vehicle, to get to her home, but they were still there outside her car. Like, they still tried again.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
like, what in the fuck? And then there was a girl walking around Sylvan Lake, and Sylvan Lake is also in Alberta. It's a small town. Mm-hmm. And there was this girl. She was walking around on the paths and stuff and noticed a man start following her. And so then she started like crossing the street, changing up her path, and he would follow. She pretended to stop and take a picture of the lake, thinking he'll walk past me. He stopped and waited for her to take the picture and continued following her.
Like, what a sinking feeling that would be, just like trying to, you know, change path, be like, okay, this is just my mind playing with me. Like, he's got to just, you know, keep on keeping on. And then have him just follow your every move like that. Like, how...
Yes. And he was like very close behind her, like was keeping a very small distance from her. And she called for someone to come pick her up, but luckily ran into a group of people and said, "Hey, can I stand with you? Because this man behind me has been following me and has been for a very long time." And they said, "Oh yeah, for sure. Like, we thought you guys were actually together." So just like Lacey said, like, bystanders are seeing this and thinking,
there's nothing to worry about because they're probably together. Maybe they're
and that's
arguing or something.
Yeah, that's how close these people are. These men are fucking stalking these women and pure daylight. So this was at like, I think it was 6:30 p.m. or something. So now the sun is staying out later. So it's still daylight at that time. Like, it's just so crazy and terrifying and fucked up, and women need to be aware. And I only know of stories in BC and Alberta, but, you know, I am also aware that this happens everywhere. Yeah. And this does happen, unfortunately, every day somewhere. But these certain patterns and same scenarios and situations, it just seems like too close, like
too much of a like coincidence that it's not like it doesn't make sense if it's not tied together. And even honestly, even if it's not tied together, the fact is that there's people out there doing these things and just honestly prepare yourself, like with headphones and stuff. Like, make sure you can still hear your surroundings. And I actually have a keychain that my teacher gave to me in college. Yeah. I won it from like a little bingo or whatever we were doing. But anyway, it's an emergency like alarm. So it stays on your keychain. Yeah. And then you press a button and then it like sets off this alarm. So yeah, if anyone is like following you or anything like that, you just hit the button and it alerts like whoever's around. Yes. So that's really cool. Yeah, for those of you who are walking to work, like commuting to work or whatever, or, you know, you are on your runs or whatever the case may be, might be worth looking into getting something like that too, because who knows, if someone comes up and covers your mouth, at least you have a backup to, you know, have people hear you. And I'm also a huge believer in sharing locations with people. Yeah. Like, share locations with your friends, like share locations with whoever you feel safe with. Because, I just think that's really important. And
no, I agree. And, like, I'm somebody that's, if I have a friend over or somebody I know is traveling or whatever, I just say, like, text me when you get home. If you remember, text me when you get home. Like, just let me know you're home safe and sound. And that's something that I think everybody should be doing with everyone they love and care about. Like, always just say, hey, can you send that text when you get home? And, if the person forgets, because sometimes I'm even guilty of forgetting, because I have friends who do the same thing to me. Like, yep, text me when you get home safe and sound.
Yeah.
But, just at least put that in your loved ones' brains. And also, like, just have the protection, lock your doors, be aware, and just, like, keep yourself safe, because it's scary. It's very scary. And I just can't even believe it. Like, I have a lot of girlfriends and family in Alberta in these areas that this stuff is happening, and it scares me. And stuff has been happening in Vancouver, and that scares me too. Like,
and I also saw something about impersonating police officers and pulling you over with ghost cars and stuff. So honestly, in these situations, like, truly trust your gut, and if you feel like something's off, you call 911 and you ask them, and you tell them the situation, like, you know what, I just want to make sure that this is a real cop. And they will absolutely help you through. And roll your window down just a little bit until they confirm their badge number, and until they can until the dispatcher can confirm that it's a real cop. Because I've been hearing some crazy stories regarding impersonating cops. And, like, we were just talking about a story that happened in, where was it again?
It was in Penhold.
In Penhold,
so
right?
Penhold is at this point in time, was a extremely small town. Like, it still is. But
you can imagine how much smaller it's been 10 years ago, because it was kind of booming a little bit.
Exactly. There was this girl, and she was our age at the time, and she went to the Shell to get some juice. Her and her boyfriend were hanging out, and we were 16. So she would have been 16. And so, again, Penhold being a small town, just like Innisfil, the town I grew up in, run into the 7-Eleven or to the gas station to get snacks and treats was a pretty easy trip, and what felt like a safe trip, because you were so used to doing that quick walk, and it was just a normal thing to do. So she went to the Shell to get some juice, and she never came home. And her boyfriend had to go through this, hours and hours of her not returning home. Like, I can't even imagine. So they filed a missing persons. And she showed up at the Bauer Mall, which is in Red Deer, and called for help. And she had been captured and taken by two men who were impersonating being police officers. And I'm not going to get into more detail of what happened to her, but it was horrible. Like, it's just, like I said, I am aware that this goes on every day, unfortunately. This goes on a lot, but it's just, it needs to be talked about more. And again, these cases being so frequent and similar, it just, everyone just needs to be aware and needs to be careful, and you just got to trust your gut too. And it's crazy.
Even if you feel like maybe I'm overreacting, like maybe I'm doing this, like, no, do it. Overreact. It's so much better to overreact and, be safe than to push your feelings aside and, wish you would have overreacted.
Exactly. And because at the end of the day, it could be somebody dressed up as someone you think you should feel safe around and trust, like a police officer who is supposed to protect and
exactly
serve. Really, like, she obviously wouldn't have even double thought seeing this police car pull up with these two officers, like, right? Like, it's so fucked up. And when I was younger and I started walking to school, my mom gave my sister and I a safe word. So she said, if anyone ever tells you that I sent you to pick them up or whatever, you ask them what the safe word is.
That's so smart.
Yeah. And if they don't know the safe word, then I did not send you.
Yeah.
I did not send them to pick you up. And I don't know them, you don't know them, and you keep walking. And yeah, I thought that was like a really, really good technique that my mom did and kind of instilled in us when we were quite young. Because I think I was in grade 2 when I started walking to school. And yeah, so like, again, if you're a parent, think of some strategies to have with your children, with your daughters and sons, and you know, because it's all ages too. Children unfortunately go missing as well, and excuse me, that.
And children think in like such terms of like absolute. So if you're doing something, like if they don't know the safe word, they like do not go with them, because you see those videos going around the internet of just like social experiments, and they're like, oh, like come here, I have a puppy, and thank God that it was just a social experience, because because then they went and told the moms like, hey, like this is what just happened, like I'm so sorry to like scare you like that. But just so you know, it's a good thing that it happened with me, because it could have easily happened with anyone else. And then, it just goes on to talk about like how you should kind of approach these situations with your kids. Because, man, I even remember I think I was like 14 years old, maybe 15. And me and my sister were shopping at West Ed. And it was me and my sister, and then my mom and my dad were shopping around too. But since I would have been 14, and Hillary was probably like 16. Well, she would have been. She's 2.5 years older than me. But anyway, these two guys came up to us in this shop that we were looking at, and they were like, "Hey, like, do you guys want to like come to a party with us?" And like blah 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 blah. And me and my sister like, no. Like, we don't even know you. Like, get out of here. But they were so insistent. And then we saw them go back and talk to this third guy. And they were staring at us. And then they all looked pissed off and, like, walked away that we wouldn't come with them. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. Like, what are these guys doing? They were not 14, 15 years old, let me tell you. They were, like, 23, 24, like 25, I would say.
That's fucked up.
So fucked up. Like, what are you even doing coming up and talking to us and trying to get us away from the mall?
But unfortunately, some 14 and 16-year-old girls would have been like an older guy inviting me to a party for sure. Like,
why not? And like, I'm not the mall by myself. Like, my mom doesn't know. Like, my mom thinks I'm out shopping. Sure, I'll go to a party for a bit. Like, it's so scary.
So scary.
And you never know how like manipulative people can be, and how it's just like that predatory
it's gross.
Mindset. It's super gross, and it gives me the chills thinking about it. And I feel like as an adult, looking back at certain situations that have even happened to me personally, I look back and just shudder, because I'm like, holy shit, things could have been very different if I didn't stick to my gut, and if I didn't listen to, you know, what my instinct was telling me.
For sure. No, I agree. Yeah, definitely crazy, and so scary. And like, it's just, I don't know, it's like this never ending cycle. And with the masks, it's just made it like given these people so much bravery. Like, it's so crazy and scary. And
it is scary.
Yes, just be aware, please. Stay safe and have communication at all time. Even the safe word thing, you don't even have to do that with a kid. You can do that with your friends. You can do that with your significant other. Because as soon as you don't feel safe, you dial a number. You don't even have to say hi. You don't have to say anything. You just have to say that word. And then your loved ones know, oh my gosh, they're in trouble right now.
Exactly. Honestly, I think just come up with a plan that works for you, whether it's, you know, texting when you get home. For me, sometimes that's hard. So I share my location so I don't forget, so I can give my loved ones a peace of mind. Oh, she's not answering her text. Oh, but I can see that she got home at this time. Perfect.
100%.
Or, you know, I know there's also apps that you can like, I can't remember what it's called, but it's something that you can like set a timer or set like a destination or something like that. And if you don't hit the button to say that you're home safe, then it'll alert your emergency contacts that something happened. So there are definitely tools out there to, you know, help you stay safe. And whether or not you use them, I think it would be definitely beneficial for, you know, if your kids have a smartphone or whatever, like, just take all the precautions, because you'll never regret taking too many precautions when it comes to safety, when it comes to people you love.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Good thing we started this podcast off on such a, you know, sad note, but I think it's been weighing on both of our hearts for honestly since we've been realizing it's been happening. And so
I've been wanting to talk about this for a hot minute now, and just help bring awareness, help spread the word, help, you know, just encourage people to stay aware. And
if there's even the slightest chance that this is going to help someone be safer, then awesome. Like, mission accomplished.
Exactly. Yeah, but so crazy, so nuts, and it's just a fucked up world we are living in. So fucked up,
but you know what? I feel like it's fucked up right now just to kind of make way for better things to come. And I think that's how we all kind of have to almost look at it, just to help us get through, and just to know that, you know, we're working towards something. We're working towards a better humanity. We're working towards, you know, better governments and better systems in place that, like, because honestly, we have such archaic systems still in place, and it's just like, how have we not updated any of this? Like, it's insane.
It is insane. It's so crazy.
So, you know, sometimes you have to start from a clean slate, and sometimes that's rock bottom, and sometimes that's heartache and tragedy, and but we're all going through it together, and
just gotta be there for each other.
Gotta be there for each other. Gotta be kind.
So on a lighter note, we also got some really good news last night.
Heck yeah.
We got a new T Swiftie album. What up?
T Swift always treating us real good.
She really has been, honestly. The past year, she has fucking gifted us with so many amazing presents and releases, and it's just been so good. And so even though this isn't technically a new album, it's a re-recorded album.
6 new songs, though.
Yes, but there are new songs. Yes, exactly. So it is kind of a new album. And I was fucking stoked about it. Still am fucking stoked about it. And I'm obsessed.
Yeah, me too. And it definitely took me back to my old, like, teenage self.
Oh my gosh.
All of the feelings that I was feeling back then when it came out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, definitely, like, high school memories. Like, honestly, even throughout my entire, like, young adult life. Like, T Swift has been there for all of the moments, all of the memories, and somehow her lyrics just really pull on the heartstrings and resonate with me. And she just never misses. It's crazy.
No, I agree. That's one thing we definitely share is our love for T Swift, and both are pretty big T Swiftie stans, along with Tommy.
And Emma.
Exactly. So that was so great, and just so amazing to re-listen to those songs. Re-listen to the songs with her and her mature voice. And they still sound like exactly the same, but not. And I don't know. I could just, when I was listening to it, I could feel how much fun she was having re-recording those. Like, I don't know, because as much as it's a trip down memory lane for us, it's a trip down memory lane for her because she's was writing these songs in her young teenage years.
So emotional.
And going through all her times, and it's just so crazy. It's so crazy, but so awesome. And I'm just so excited for her, and I'm so happy she can
make her music again.
And re-release it and actually own it and be
big
a
moves
part
for
of
artists everywhere. Like, big moves. So.
Yeah, exactly. I just love T Swiftie so much.
Yeah, me too. She's a huge role model of mine.
Yeah,
and
me
like
too.
I said, has just like been a huge part of my of my life and my feelings. And like we've talked about this before, like Taylor Swift just has such a way of putting those emotions into words. And I like, especially when you're a teenager, when you're feeling those big strong emotions and those like teen angst feelings and all this stuff, Taylor was so mature beyond her years that like she was just writing exactly how I was feeling and looking or listening to these songs from, you know, a perspective from when I'm 29 versus when I'm like 16 years old.
Yeah.
It's so crazy how a lot of the words still resonate, and
100%.
It's still like so true. Her lyrics just take you on an emotional journey.
Yeah, they definitely do. Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says about Taylor Swift. She's incredible, and I truly feel if you don't like her, you just don't know enough about her.
Yeah, people hate on her way too much about like all she talks about is ex-boyfriends and heartbreak, and
you're not even listening to the lyrics then.
Exactly.
Like,
and on top of it all, if that's what fuels her creativity, if that's how she can express herself the best and make music that not only people can relate to but can also express their own emotions through, that's like a huge thing. And that's the point of people, I feel, who are artists in all different type of industries and areas, you know, whatever fuels your creativeness and brings out the best creativity in you and your talents in you, then you're gonna fucking go by that, whether that be heartbreak, whether that be mental health, whether that be just anything, you know, like. So
even if it is like autobiography, whereas Taylor was doing that for many of her albums, and then the Evermore and the Folklore was about, you know, different characters' autobiographies, and how cool is it to, you know, emote such emotion through stories that might not even be her own. Like
100%.
Such a gift.
Yeah. Don't care if anybody hates on her. Don't care if you don't like her, because I do, and no one's gonna change my mind. I've loved her since I was like 14 years old. So
seriously, and like so much respect for her, because think about how like crippling the media was to her, how people were to her. There was like canceled Taylor Swift with the whole Kanye thing, and like she still like, you know, stuck to her guns and like knew what was true to herself. She stayed true to herself the whole time. She created something different. Honestly, it was like her kind of hitting like a rock bottom metamorphosis kind of. Now she seems like she's the happiest she's ever been, and it's like a full circle. Like, I don't care what anyone says about me. I'm still doing me, and you know, the people who are my real fans and the people who really care about me will be, you know, supporting me choosing the things that are best for myself, such as like, you know, owning her own music, because I know a lot of people have an issue with that too, and they're like, well, so many artists don't own their music and stuff. Okay, but does that necessarily mean that it's like right, or if that's what this artist wants?
Well, that's a personal choice of the artist.
Exactly. So
your
like,
2 cents of saying a lot of artists don't own their own music. Okay, well, that's their decision. They decide to sign a fucking deal.
She doesn't want that. And she was so young when, you know, she got into the music industry. And it's just
still the times where labels were taking advantage of artists and younger artists especially. And now we're at the point in time where labels need the artists. Artists don't need labels anymore. Like, she's proof of you can have done it both ways. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And she fucking got fooled once and was like, I'm out. And I'm doing my own thing. And fuck this. Like, so it's amazing. And she's also fucking thriving way more than anyone who tried to bring her down in the industry in the past. Even who brought her to her lowest rock bottom. She is doing so good, so well, and
it's so inspiring to so many people all around the world.
She's given us some really awesome stuff during these hard times, and it's amazing. It's amazing that she's taking the time to show that she appreciates her fans and still is giving us content, giving us music, giving us new stuff to help us get through these hard times. And that's one thing that, like, Cole has also done during COVID, I think, is
definitely.
he's done a lot to stay connected with his fans, to show that he, even though we can't be on tour and can't see them in person, like, I'm still here releasing music, connecting with you guys, showing you I care about you guys and appreciate you guys. And I think that's just wonderful and like beautiful, because your fans do appreciate that and will appreciate that and hold that very close to their heart in those times that they're going through, because music is a huge thing that I use to relate different times and phases in my life with. A song can bring me back to so many different points in my life and different years and different things I've went through. And
it almost depends on like the feeling that you're, or like your life experience that you're currently feeling. Then you can listen to a song and it can, you know, just bring forth so many memories and nostalgia. And then, you know, you could be feeling another type of way and listen to the same song and like you're just flooded back with all different types of memories. But it's definitely like a, you know, different songs are soundtracks to your life and like soundtracks to like different eras of your life. And it could even be the same song,
100%,
just a different feeling.
100%.
Yeah. And that's how amazing music is. It's so healing. And I think especially with certain artists, Cole as well, Taylor Swift as well, some artists just have a way of healing through their music. And like even on tour doing the meet and greet, like hearing so many people be like, man, you've saved my life, you've changed my life, like you've healed me from rock bottom. Like listening to your music has inspired me to literally crawl out of like the depths of hell to, you know, do this for me, do this for the people I love, the people I care about. And, you know, I think that's the thing that I love most about music and how inspiring it can be, because I mean there are a lot of artists out there who I personally wouldn't consider them being that healing, but that's just maybe for me. It could be very healing for someone who, you know, is more of a fan or whatever the case may be. But like music is definitely very healing, and with certain artists, like in their words, even that much more. It's really cool.
I agree. That's definitely one thing that I love about music as well. But there's also a lot of people who use other things, like we use music as healing. Like I know there's a lot of people who, like, this is random and seems very out of the blue, but it's the truth, like makeup artists and people who look up to different influencers who, whether it's they're in the beauty community or the YouTube community, whatever it is,
wherever your passion kind of lies.
Yeah, exactly. Or just like where you find connection, like that soul connection. And it sounds weird to say because like these people are strangers to you, but you can, like, if there are certain things that just speak to you and help you get through rough times, then it can be anything from music to makeup to painting,
that brings
to
a sense of community and like making you feel like you're loved exactly the way you are.
Or just like that there's other people out there that
are going through the same stuff.
The same stuff or use the same techniques and things to get through hard times. And it's just like, it's really crazy. And that's like the amazing thing about the internet is that, and social media, is that everybody can connect through that and still feel that that little like escape and that little bit of therapy almost, because again a lot of people out there like to watch makeup videos as therapy. People like to listen to music as therapy. People like to paint as therapy. People like to clean as therapy. Like there's so many different things, and it's just really crazy. And if you can be somebody to help
build a community,
impact different people with your creativeness and your art and your talent, then showing them that you care by giving them as much as you can when it comes to content, when it comes to whatever, so they can feel connected, is like a big thing. And I think it's a big thing, especially right now in the times that we're in and the world that we're in, because we're all very disconnected. And you know, going to live shows, that can be someone's therapy right there alone.
Oh my gosh, definitely. I can feel that, because live shows is something I miss, and just that energy, that atmosphere. Like I'm definitely an extroverted introvert, but like that that type of atmosphere, that type of energy, like, oh my gosh, there's really nothing like it for me. But like, yeah, it's so nice that we are living in a day and age where there is so much technology connecting us.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you might be from a small town, maybe your interest in your community is pretty niche from where you're living, but it just extends that out so much more. And yeah, you can find your community, you can find what other people are interested in and what heals them, and even reach out further and see what else is healing those people.
Yeah. And what a great time to be able to create and give your fans and supporters what they love, and not have like so much pressure behind it, because we're all in quarantine. We all are cut off from the world in some sense, and that busy lifestyle, like, I don't care who you are, you probably had the busiest life. If you're an A-list celebrity, an influencer, a musician, what have you, you probably had the busiest life, and like everybody else, COVID put it on a very big halt. And I think that's why Taylor Swift especially has put out so much, Cole has put out so much, because they have time to sit there and create and use these crazy times to bring out the best in them and bring out the best, like,
authentic, like
art.
And
like, yeah, it's just, I don't know, I'm not saying that it's easier, and not saying that, oh, you should be happy that this is happening because now you can just sit in your studio and work. But, you know, like, it does. I'm sure it's triggered a lot of different creative people's bells into, like, oh, man, like, I have a lot of time to just focus on this project, on this. And then all of a sudden you start working, and boom, you've made how many different projects, or thought of different plans for different projects, and you want to start getting it out, you want to start sharing it, because it's like, oh fuck yeah, like I have time to sit in the studio and record, I have time to sit in my studio and paint, like all the things. So
yeah, I think that's the one really cool thing about this pandemic. And I mean, we're already seeing it, and I think we're going to see a whole lot more of it. But I truly think that one of the main reasons why everyone is, you know, kind of looking inward and, you know, doing the self-reflection and stuff is because I think the people who are, you know, making those crazy impacts, like Cole, for instance, Taylor Swift, like, I feel like they are coming from their most, they're just being the most authentically them. So that right there is so amazing, because nobody else can create the things that you create.
Yeah.
Nobody else can do the things that you can do. So I feel like we were kind of caught up in a society where we were always trying to kind of be like anyone else. Like, this is just an example, like for influencers, like, you know, buy this, like look like this, do whatever. But we haven't really had the space to think about what maybe we actually want, and what actually lights our life. We've just kind of been force fed all of this stuff that it's definitely taking us down a road of like, okay, am I actually wanting to be like this, or am I wanting to create like this, or, you know, change my style up, or do whatever I want to do. But like, I think it kind of made a lot of people realize, I'm not really doing things that feel right to me on a deep down level. I feel like I'm kind of creating this for other people, and that's kind of like where a disconnect in art comes from. So it'll be really interesting to see where people kind of grow from this, and to see how many people just really connect with themselves, because I think that is going to not only heal people, but like heal the world at the end of it. I know it sounds cheesy, but I truly believe it. And I think you just have to really hone in on yourself.
And all the pressure's off, because, you know, thinking about Cole a few years ago, it was always tour. Okay, now we have 2 months to squeeze in album recording and preparing and writing so it can come out in however many months later. And then we got to get back on tour for after that 2 month break of you doing your album and focusing on the new album, like so much. And you think, oh, well, 2 months, that's a good time to sit there and write however many songs and just focus on recording, but time fucking flies by. And so when you take all that touring and that busy lifestyle out, and now all you have is time to create, it's just like boom, you start flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing, because it's not so much pressure. There's not so much, I have to get this done
by
in this
time,
amount of
or
time,
else,
or my timeline's going to be fucked up and the album's going to have to get pushed back and all that kind of stuff. So I also think that that's another reason why it, you know, Cole and Taylor Swift again. We've said this a million
Cole's
times.
Cole's going to be so honored when he hears this, being like, oh my God, they're comparing me to Taylor Swift.
100%.
The honor.
Yeah. You better feel honored.
Yeah.
Just kidding. But honestly, because they're really just the two people that, like, I've really noticed this from during the pandemic. And not saying other artists are out there haven't been doing it, because I'm sure there's many artists out there that have been, but
the two that have affected our lives personally the most.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's crazy. It's amazing, and it's crazy, and it's nuts.
It is
fucking fever dream.
Fever dream.
Again.
It's all a dream. It was all a fever dream.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
But yeah, thank goodness we have, you know, some music, some healing tools in this pandemic. And I'm actually curious to see what other people have been doing to help them and to help move them through tough times. Because I know everyone's been having a hard time.
Yeah, 100%.
So
finding different ways to help keep yourself sane, help keep yourself happy and productive and motivated, and
pouring from a overflowing cup and not an empty one.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, learning the tools to do that.
Exactly.
That's my biggest thing, and I think that's the thing that I hope to get most out of the pandemic. Not that I'm like, oh, I need to set a pandemic goal, but like, I just think naturally, like, I think I have been pouring from an empty cup for a hot minute now. So just to kind of take a step back and to be like, okay, it's okay. Focusing a little bit more on me and to get my, you know, cup overflowing before I start pouring again.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's all we got time for. I think we went on a couple good little tangents.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming back on the pod, dude.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited for next time. We'll probably touch on our readings a little bit since I have one coming up here.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for those of you who are kind of into the spirituality and stuff. That'll probably be one of my next upcoming episodes, I'd say.
Yeah, we're trying to get some of that content out there and been putting out a few heavy episodes, that's for sure.
Yeah,
so I'm trying to
lighten it up at the end of this one.
Yeah, I'm trying to space things out a bit, but I know it's a topic that a lot of people want to hear about, and
this whole pandemic's been a roller coaster, so we're just feeling the feels with you guys too. So
yeah, exactly. All right, well, thank you guys for tuning in, and stay safe, stay healthy, stay positive, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Something classic, something special.